Hello, good evening, and welcome to our Clearing live stream for parents aimed at Results Day 2024, which we cannot believe is round the corner on this Thursday. I'm Jamie. I'm going to be your host for the initial part of this session. Plenty of years of Clearing and Results Day to my name so far. We hope you guys are doing okay and are feeling positive about the week to come. Luckily for me and for you, I'm not alone in this stream, so I'm going to be joined by a couple of colleagues who will bring onto the stream just to quickly introduce themselves. So I'm joined by my colleague Elliot.
Hi everyone, I'm Elliot Newstead. I'm the Associate Director of Future Students here at DMU, and I'm here to talk a little bit about how you can support your child through Results Day, how we can support, and how we will be supporting over the coming days and weeks as well.
Brilliant, thank you, Elliot. I'm also joined by one of our current students who came through Clearing herself, and she's going to talk about her journey to university and bring the student experience to life. So, Walija, hi.
Hi, I'm Walija Fatima, and I'm studying social work undergraduate at the Montfort University.
Thank you, Walija. We will be hearing more from Walija later on so she can talk about her Results Day experience. And I'm Jamie Bradford. I'm the Head of Future Students here at DMU. So Results Day is on Thursday. It's a huge day in people's lives. I recall my very own Results Day, back in the relatively recent past, really, really clearly. And it's such a pivotal moment. Hopefully, for most of you watching, everything goes smoothly and positive. Look back on it as one of those really, really great days. For some students, it can bring some change and sometimes something unexpected. The most important thing for us to say is that ourselves and the whole university sector is there to support you through that journey. Our role and the role of our call centre, which is open literally from 6 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, is to be there as a point of support, a point of guidance, to listen to the scenario you're in and help you through that journey. Either to make you an offer, maybe through Clearing, give you some information to help you make an informed choice, or just reassure you about something that might be worrying you. My top tip, I know plenty of these tips as we go through, top tip will be do reach out for that support for anything you might need. Even something that might be a small question, it's always worth getting in touch and just getting it cleared up with ourselves. So on Results Day itself, the first thing to talk about is what happens, how does the process tend to work? So back in the day, nearly every single school and college would have their students flooding in first thing in the morning. Results used to be pinned to the wall. You'd run up, you'd see what you got. It used to actually be put in public view. You'd see what you got, what everybody else had got. Then it moved to an individual letter being given to a student within the school. These days, in most scenarios, results are given online. So your son and daughter might be invited into school or college. In many cases, they might just get their results online from the website of their exam provider via a sort of login that'll be available first thing in the morning. What they won't necessarily get very, very first thing in the morning is an understanding of if they're into university or not. That's because UCAS, the body they applied to university for, is under what's called an embargo. Elliot, do you want to briefly explain what the embargo is and how it works and when it reopens?
Yeah, sure. As you said, Jamie, there. So at the moment, we're in that embargo period. And essentially what that means is that we are in the background processing all of our decisions. We've had exam results through from the back end of last week, actually. So our admissions teams, both here and across the country, are in that process of confirming those decisions based on the results that we've received. And essentially that embargo period means that universities like ourselves here aren't able to kind of communicate anything really around applications until that embargo lifts, which is 8 a.m. on Results Day. So on Thursday, after 8 a.m., that embargo lifts. So that's when you'll start to receive, or your sons and daughters will start to receive information and updates on their decisions, which is a really important time to be kind of up and awake and in play, I suppose, for hearing both from universities, but also via the UCAS hub, and how that's how it's gone, I suppose, from a decision-making process. And you might find yourself, or your child might find themselves in a variety of different scenarios, depending on how things have gone obviously in exam season. If they've taken exams this cycle, there could be that, and the majority of students, it will be that really happy path of being confirmed at their firm choice institution, so that uni that they've selected as their number one choice throughout the main cycle. And there might be examples where maybe grades have slipped a little bit, but decisions have been confirmed. There might be scenarios where changes of minds are wanted. So there might have been need within that student decision to think about, actually, you know what, I've made a decision back in earlier in the year, but actually that decision I'd like to review. So there's a variety of different scenarios in play, but I think the most important point to say there is, particularly in terms of that communication that you can expect to receive from from universities that they'll and from DMU here that will come through from 8 a.m. on results day itself.
Brilliant. Thank you, Elliot. So that means that by relatively early morning, you should know what the grades actually are. And you should also know if you're into university of choice. And do bear in mind, universities do try to be flexible on results day. Certainly here at DMU, flexibility to give students who apply to us in the main cycle the place that they are hoping to get is something we're absolutely looking to work on. So if you drop by a grade or two, please don't panic and assume that that means your university place won't be held, because in many scenarios that place is still going to be available. So get the grades first, then jump onto UCAS and check your status. You'll also get an email directly from the university informing you of your status. But any doubt at all, pick up the phone or jump onto WhatsApp, and my number will be coming across the screen magically as we go. Look, no hands on that one. And you will be able to talk to our experts and get that reassurance straight away. So that phone line is for all of those different scenarios that Elliot's alluded to. Essentially, any uncertainty, even if you've logged onto UCAS and it says you're in, you just want someone to verbally reassure you that that is indeed the case, and you want to go and have a relaxing day, pick the phone up and ask those questions. We are completely here to help. And WhatsApp's available as well. I mean, phone's the more direct way of doing it, but WhatsApp is absolutely a valued way of finding out if you're in and asking any questions about university. Let's spend a moment getting that student view. I think it's going to be really valuable for you guys to visualize from one of our current students how clearing works. And if you have got questions, just pop them in the chat. We are here to help as we are live on the screen. So feel free to throw anything our way. So Elijah, we're going to bring you in on the screen there. You want to quickly talk through how your own experience worked? I know you came to the UK when you were 16, didn't you? And then 2 years later found yourself at university and ended up applying through clearing. So how did your journey play out?
I think applying for universities around that time, I did know that I wanted to do social work, but I didn't really have as much experience working with vulnerable adults, or I didn't know as much about the course. So when everyone was applying through UCAS, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to apply. I did apply to a few courses, but they were around sociology because I was studying that at college. But I did quite struggle a lot with my student finance, getting my fundings for the university, and that was my only way to attend university. I couldn't have paid it myself. And that was being a massive trouble when I was applying for it. So I thought I'm not going to have the fundings to go to the university. So that's the reason I didn't apply to the Montfort in the first place for social work. But around the time when I got my results, thankfully they were as expected as they were meant to be. But yeah, my student finance was getting sorted, and it was coming along. So I was like, why not? I'd just give it a try and see if there's any places left. I was definitely anxious, but I feel like when I rang and person across the phone, they were so nice about everything. I was able to inquire if they have any places left, and they asked me about my grades, what kind of subject I sort of did, and if I have any experience that I can bring onto the course that's relevant as well. But I think overall it was like a really nice and calm chat that definitely calmed me down as well. But my experience was really positive because right after the phone, quite quickly I got an offer in my inbox. And I did an interview and I did a test as you would for admissions to a regular way. And I know it can be different for some people. Some people might not get the offer right away, so you don't have to worry. But I think the overall point being is that everyone's like really, really helpful over the helpline. So if you just want to give it a ring and sort of inquire about your course, and they're more than happy to help.
Brilliant. And how did you find it when you started in your first year then? Because you'd gone relatively quickly from not going to uni to getting your offer, then a month later, here you are at DMU. So how did it go when you arrived?
I think for a lot of the courses, maybe like the experience would be different, but for social work, I think it was really positive because it is social work. We had a lot of activities where we have to talk to each other and have these little debates in the class. So I got to know everyone really quickly. And I found out that like the team was very supportive as well. So me, myself, from my background, because I was born and raised in Pakistan, a lot of the times my assessments were exams. So there was not a lot of times I had done assignments before. I had done some assignments in BTEC at college, but that was about it really. So I didn't know a lot about referencing, Harvard referencing specifically for my course and stuff like that. So I think I got loads of help from the university just for the academic bits as well. Also the lecturers and everything, everyone's like super helpful if you have any questions. And if you need any other support, they're more than happy to signpost you to places where you can get that support.
Thank you. I mean, support's a really, really valuable word. So many people I talk to think that university is kind of like a sink or swim, like a sort of cutthroat, tough environment. But in reality, there's more expert support at university than there is in a typical school or college. You know, we have a dedicated team that we can actually see sort of just across from where we are. The dedicated team who are there to support with careers, support with finance, support with welfare, support with counselling, support with your accommodation. You know, we've got dedicated professionals whose sole job is to make sure that our students are okay, are happy, are supported, and then there's support from the academic community with all those aspects you've talked about, such as referencing, exams, preparation. And at DMU, we teach the bulk of our courses in a scheme called block learning, which in many courses case means you're studying one module at a time, you're forming closer relations with your tutor, and gone are the days when you've got kind of 7 deadlines all kicking in January, and you're spending those 24-hour sort of blocks in the library like I used to spend. I don't know about yourself.
Yeah, blocks in the library usually at silly o'clock in the morning was usually the way around.
Exactly. Now, you lived at home for your university experience, didn't you, Religia? But one of the positives about university and even coming through clearing is you can still get a place in accommodation. So at DMU, we've got guaranteed accommodation places. Now, I'm going to test our behind the scenes guys' ability to be agile here by saying we have got an accommodation video, which we can very briefly go to give you a flavour of the accommodation scene at DMU. It's only a short minute, so don't go changing. We'll be right back.
University is a new beginning where you can find your people, your purpose, your place in the world. Leaving home was a big decision, but I found friends in my accommodation that became my family. Always there for me, through everything. With halls just a short walk from campus, it's easy to get involved in university socials, not to mention perfect for those early lectures and late nights in the library. A place to call my own and make it mine. A place to focus on my work and myself. I can explore everything Leicester has to offer with the city centre on my doorstep. I found my new home at DMU.
So I think within that conversation with Religia there, we talked a little bit about the support received both at the university, but also in advance of starting here, both starting very much from that first phone call made on results day. And we just wanted to walk you through a little bit how that process works from a university point of view to kind of hopefully get your plans in place before you get on the phones on Thursday morning if that's required. So we have a huge bank of really trained staff and students actually from across the institution that are waiting to take your call on Thursday morning. And as Jamie mentioned earlier, our phone lines will be open from nice and early in the morning to cater for all you early birds, all throughout the day, right and through until I think 8 o'clock in the evening. So we are really here for you at that stage. And essentially we'll be asking you a range of introductory questions. Nothing too taxing, don't worry. It'll be things like your name, your UCAS ID, things like your grades. Hence why we talk about it's important for you to give us a call after you've got those, because they really help us define if we're able to make a verbal offer either over the phone or after a range of different checks based on the course that you might be interested in. We've got, instead, our call handlers are really heavily trained. We've also got a range of supervisors that are there to help them as well if there are any kind of tricky queries to talk through. But we're really there to help. Don't be afraid of that phone call. We are aware that it's not maybe the most common thing anymore to do, particularly amongst the youth of today. But we are really there to help take that. We also have the WhatsApp as an opportunity to get in touch as well, particularly throughout the really peak periods. And I guess on that front, we've got heaps of experience of working many results days across the years. And what we really see in terms of those peak periods is usually between about 10 a.m. and about 1 p.m. So my real advice there is to stay patient at that time. You're likely to be in a queue at certain points, but that's okay. Stay in that queue. We are beavering away in the background to make sure we get through as many calls as possible. But it really is, it's going back to what Jamie was saying about when you receive your results and the natural journey of that day. It's always that type of time in the morning that is really those peak periods. So try and stay patient where you can. I know but we do know it can be quite an anxious time as well. So totally fine. I think as well on that front, we will go through a range of different questions with you. And if we're able to, we'll make you then a verbal offer which essentially will come with a variety of different pieces of follow-up information, including a deadline to accept that offer based on when it's made. And then any other bits of information depending on the course. If there is a next step, maybe an interview if it's one of our health and life sciences courses, can be a variety of different things based on your own individual scenario. And the process itself works then, we make you that verbal offer, but obviously you still need to attach that, I suppose, to DMU via UCAS. And the main thing to remember on that front is the timings of the day. So on UCAS, the clearing of kind of availability, I suppose, or your ability to add a clearing choice, and it'll be essentially a big button on your UCAS hub saying add a clearing choice. That facility opens from 1 o'clock on results day. So you might get a verbal offer from ourselves at, say, 10 a.m., which would be great news, but you can kind of sit on that for 3 hours or so and then add us as a clearing choice once UCAS opens at 1 o'clock. And what happens after that is that we'll essentially do some of the background checks to verify the qualifications that you've told us on the phone. Because obviously at that stage, it is very much that verbal conversation that's been had with our lovely member of staff from the institution. So our main bit of advice there in terms of what we see each year is students giving us a call as soon as they've added us as a choice, asking about next steps. So essentially, again, the main call for action there is be patient. We will usually try and turn that around pretty quickly for you to then take your next steps, whether it's applying for accommodation, getting a bit more set, etc. But that 1 p.m. is one of your key times on that day to be able to do that. You don't have to do it at 1 p.m. It's just the ability opens from 1 p.m. to be able to do so. Jamie, are there any other kind of tips on that side that you see?
Well, I think a little bit of clearing myth busting. So clearing comes with got negative PR, doesn't it? You know, people always think of clearing as kind of like something you've fallen into and you don't want to be in it, and it's a really challenging, stressful environment. And there are some scenarios where a student might not get the grades they want, doesn't get into the firm or the insurance, and does find themselves in clearing. But in many cases, clearing, as Religia alluded to earlier, is a real opportunity. Say you've changed your mind. Say you've watched a live stream with a couple of chaps called Jamie Ellis, and you've thought, you know what? DMU is the place that really is right for me. You can change your mind and use clearing to come to us. Or more practically, say you live locally to Leicester and you were planning to move away, and at the last minute you think, actually, living at home seems more pragmatic. Or maybe the opposite. Maybe you want to move away. Clearing is there for people who've changed their mind on course or location as well. And also, as Religia alluded to, clearing is actually something you can do if you've not applied to university at all. So maybe you went through the sixth form journey thinking, I'm not really sure university is for me. Maybe you thought about an apprenticeship, which are really easy to aspire to, but actually quite tricky to pin down. And now you're thinking, maybe I do want to go to uni. Well, clearing is a real opportunity. If you're completely new to UCAS, it doesn't matter. Give us a call, drop us a WhatsApp, and we can make you an offer to get you straight into the university process, even if you're not in UCAS at all. So do look at clearing as an opportunity and a safety net, not a kind of threat-based scenario. I want to talk a little bit about the student experience in Leicester, so we can bring Religia back in a little bit here. So you live in Leicester and live at home, don't you, Religia? So I like bringing you in by surprise here. So how would you describe the campus and the student experience living in Leicester? Do you go into the city a lot, or do you spend most of your time on campus?
I think there's a few things I do like about the campus. One thing being all the main buildings, all the buildings are on campus. So once you're at campus and you've got lectures at different buildings, they're all in like a walking vicinity, which I do prefer. Like I don't have to get off campus to go attend my lecture somewhere else. We've got loads of facilities for food and stuff as well. So we've got a massive food village with all the food, hot or cold food available as well. And they're actually almost all the time, they're really mindful about vegan, vegetarian or gluten-free sort of options as well. We've got a few. We've got a Subway on campus. I'm there a bit too often sometimes.
Making me hungry.
Yeah, we've got a Subway on campus again. We've got a few shops and one stop and things like that for you to just grab a snack in between lectures if you need to. That's one thing that's really good about the campus. Like you're never going to go hungry. You will find some food around for yourself. And I think another thing is like the town centre is really close by as well. So if you've not found something you want to have at the campus, you can literally just walk to town. 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the speed you're walking, you'll be in town, and there's loads of food options in town as well, because Leicester itself is like a really multicultural sort of city and town centre as well. So you find foods from like different countries around the world. There's McDonald's and Burger King, KFC, all the options are there. I think all I'm talking about is food. Maybe we're all hungry.
You're definitely a food-oriented person here, Alicia.
Definitely a dinner time.
But yeah, another thing about campuses, we've got our DSU on campus as well. So we've got a student team where you can just sort of go up to students, and there's a whole student team that you can sort of talk about anything that you're feeling, whether it's about counselling, student finance, stuff like that, and they can sort of signpost you to services that you can get help from. We've got some board games and stuff like that. They're available as well. So if you have a bit of time, you want to play around campus. I've got really good libraries as well. So the Kimberley Library, one of the main libraries we have on campus, is the facilities are great. Got laptops and stuff that you can lend on campus if you've forgotten yours, or it's not charged. I'm not saying it's me, but you know, you can just get it if you need to get some work done. Loads of computers and stuff around as well, but laptops are useful if you want to carry it around. But yeah, loads of books and stuff as well. Not that I don't like to usually read unless I have to for academics, but they do have non-fiction books and stuff available if you want to do. So yeah, I think overall there's like loads of facility on campus that you can explore beside just going to your lectures, and which you should go to definitely. But yeah, there's loads you can do around campus if you need to.
Thank you. And obviously, if you are making a choice to come to a university through clearing, it's a big decision. Maybe you're going to a university that you didn't apply to before. Perhaps you don't know the city. And I'm always amazed how few students actually come and visit. You know, it's amazing how many students get their offer, come to uni and never come and have a look. So we're also open right from 9 o'clock in the morning through to 6 o'clock in the evening on Thursday, and similar on Friday, to come and visit the campus in person as well. So if you want to have a campus tour, have a look around, look at the accommodation in person, you can absolutely do that. No need to book. You can just arrive, go to our Gateway House building, which will be clearly signed on campus, and you can have that physical experience to see what it is you're signing up for. Such a really valuable thing to do, because university is a big decision. So coming to have a look firsthand is definitely something I can recommend. Now I'm going to link to our production team here to one more quick video, just to give you a flavour of DMU as a campus, but also Leicester as a city, where there are shops and shops and shops, and also plenty of places to eat, as Waleed points out.
Next will be our next station call in approximately 10 minutes time.
My name is Aminata. When I first came to Leicester, I was just 18 years old. As soon as I came out of the station and into the city for the first time, I just got this sense that I'm home. Which is strange because I'd grown up in Bexley Heath and all I'd known is London. But here, there were people who looked and sounded just like me. And there was also something else, something really, really special. There was space for me here. I felt visible. People really listened to me. People like the director, who I met at the Curve Cafe by absolute accident, but gave me my first big break. And the radio station, who once had me as a guest, and later gave me a job. And the theatre, who put on my work, and gave me an audience. Leicester is a big city, no question. It's got shops after shops after shops. It's home to big businesses and major employers. If you want to go out to eat, go for a drink with some friends, you can do that. Leicester's a vibe. Heritage, culture, and a great sense of community. Leicester will give you all that. But most of all, it's a city that will give you a chance. So take it.
So we've mentioned all throughout this webinar, essentially the experience that both Jamie and myself have had in results days across the most recent years. I think our hairlines probably say this, tell a story there.
Don't know what you mean.
What we thought we'd do is give you a kind of final round of top tips, really, based on what we see each and every year, that you can hopefully use in conversations at home over the next couple of days in advance of results day. Some of these are clearing related, some of these are just kind of prepping for results day related, really. I guess the first one is obviously only got 2 days to do this, but have a bit of a backup plan. Whether that's noting down really key phone numbers in your phone, whether that's noting down key university websites like dmu.ac.uk/clearing. So you've got them to hand, save them as bookmarks, anything like that makes that time in the morning, particularly in that kind of receiving results point in the day, to wanting to make a phone call, anything that makes that life a little bit easier will really, really help. So having those kind of noted down and stored somewhere will save searching around for them, essentially, even if you're at school or college, or if you're at home receiving those results. Getting up early, we've talked a little bit about, so those really early peak times of receiving their results, the calls that you can expect to be making, alongside lots of other students across the country making calls at similar times. So bearing that in mind, and it is a fast-moving time of the year. Some courses will have a wide number of vacancies. Some will have quite limited vacancies, particularly if they have certain capacities that universities are working to, whether that be capacities that they've put on, or potentially places like NHS courses that are under kind of relatively strict capacities in that front. So it does really pay to be up nice and early, and kind of making proactive decisions, I think. And again, having that backup plan can really help. I think as well, the main thing to stress it, given that this is a conversation with parents and carers, is that for data protection reasons, we are really only able to speak to students about their own applicant records. So it really is worth encouraging them to make the call, unless they have sent kind of an email maybe in advance to say that they are nominating another point of contact, which we would need to kind of see and have sight of. It is really important from that data protection point of view to do so. We have had examples in the past of kind of conversations that you can hear down the end of a phone, of parent on phone, or the other way around, and chatting to each other. So try and have those conversations. You've got a couple of days to practice phone calls if you really want. We mentioned earlier about how the kind of process works in terms of the first couple of questions we'll ask as well. So things like having a UCAS ID to hand. Again, it takes that stress away from needing to kind of shuffle around and try and find it if you haven't had. So having that to hand, having a really good contact email address that is nice and easy to use, those sort of things. Again, anything that takes the pressure off, really. Maybe some snacks, tea, coffee. You might be having to stay patient. All those sort of practical examples is really where you can add value as a parent at that time of year, in what can be a particularly either stressful or really, really happy, or anxious or delighted. It can vary depending on you and also the scenarios involved. Jamie, have you got any other kind of tips as well?
Oh, plenty from the years of clearing experience. I think as a parent, one of the most important things you can do is help your son or daughter regroup quickly if they need to do. So say first thing on Thursday morning doesn't go as planned. It is really easy to be sent reeling by that and be wiped out, sometimes for days. And whilst clearing is a really great opportunity, and there's so many, literally thousands of brilliant courses available in there, you do need to move relatively quickly. I had a mate at school who we shall call Matt, mainly because he was called Matt, and literally he didn't get the grades he wanted. He panicked, jumped in his car, sort of handbrake, turned around a corner and was disappeared. No one saw him for 3 or 4 days. By the time he'd resurfaced, some of those opportunities he could have taken advantage of have disappeared. So don't do a Matt. If you don't get quite what you wanted, just regroup, rethink, replan. And as a parent, your role to support with that is really, really helpful. And obviously, there's always the Magic DMU hotline you can call for that wider guidance and support. And then a bit of contradictory advice, which is to take your time, but act quickly, because you do need both. You don't want to panic buy, because it's a massive decision. You've got to really weigh the pros and cons up, but you can't afford to take days and weeks to make a decision. You have got to move relatively quickly. But I think we can bring in Malijah, who is, the student who's been through it far more recently than ourselves. Any tips you would give to parents or students watching this stream live or in retrospect, Malijah?
I think you've given some good ones, but I'd say maybe look at the courses that you want to inquire about before. So it's always worth a check if you're on UCAS or you want to check in on the university website as well. Sort of read through the modules and see how they assess the modules and how they teach the modules. Like we have block teaching now, so that's kind of interesting to a lot of students as well. So it's always good to have sort of those kind of information before you inquire. Only because when you're on the call, you'll know what you're asking for and you'll know what you want to inquire for. I think that's quite good. And again, making a list of universities you want to ring as well. So if you want to ring De Montfort, it's good to have that number handy and got to know the course you're applying for. So, you're not panicking when you have to call and ask about the courses and stuff as well. And I think it's always good to look at different courses. So there's a few courses that sort of end up being a little similar because they have similar modules and things like that. And you might not get a place on one course, but they might be available on another. Which again, on the clearing hotline, they'll be able to tell you, oh, we don't have a place for this course, but we might for this. Would you be interested? So I think it's always good to sort of look if you have any similar courses that the university offer that you can sort of explore around. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I reckon a career guidance career could be waiting for you if social work doesn't work out for you, Malijah. You've given some brilliant advice. Thank you so much for your input. Any closing words from yourself, Elliot?
I think the main thing to say is kind of good luck ahead of results day. Really, we really wish you the best of luck with what comes next. It's a really should be a really happy and positive time of year, and so there are fantastic opportunities available. At firm choices across the country, but also throughout clearing across the sector. So yeah, best of luck. We said everyone here at DMU really wishes that, and please do pass that on to your son and daughter as well. And if you need us, give us a call. We'll be there to really help, no matter what the scenario would be. So yeah, good luck.
Yes, good luck indeed, and have a lovely evening. Thank you so much for watching.